and he brought the Free State Constitution with him, right? So that lasted from 1922, right? And in that Free State Constitution, what there was I'm not going to go through it all, but there was Article 17. And in Article 17, there was an oath to the king, right? That politicians had to swear. I'm not too sure if the citizens had to swear as well, but politicians had to swear an oath to the king, okay? So that was in operation up until 11th of December 1936. And the reason why that ceased to exist was because King Edward abdicated. And once he abdicated, he took his constitution with him. He abdicated because he was marrying a divorcee. I can't really remember her name. I never remember her name, but she, some American divorcee he was marrying. And he wasn't allowed to marry a divorcee and the king at the same time. So he left. And when he left, he took his constitution with him. So at that moment, right, that's when De Valera and the people who wrote this constitution, they seized that moment, right, and they wrote this constitution and they wrote it in Clough Gaelic for a reason, because the Clough Gaelic was matching with the 1919, the original 1919 constitution, and therefore, like, it removed the oath to the king, right, and what they did then was they put in Article 63, and now Article 63, right. For me, it's the most important article, right? Other people will say differently, but for me, it's the most important article. So Article 63 says, a copy of this constitution, signed by the Taoiseach, the Chief Justice, and the Chairman of Dáil Éireann, shall be enrolled for record in the office of the Registrar of the Supreme Court. And such signed copy shall be conclusive evidence of the provisions of this constitution. Right? This constitution, that's an important word. Right? In case of conflict between the Irish and the English text, the Irish text shall prevail. Right? You're probably reading yourself there wrong. Right? That's what it says. Now, when you translate the Clough Gaelic back to English compared to the English that's already in the Constitution, there is conflict. There's conflict in every single one of the articles. So therefore, the Irish side should always prevail. And at this moment in time, because we haven't got that, all we have is the English to go off. We can't turn around and say, well, the Irish on this side says whatever, and this is better for us. So why are you doing? Why is the government putting this on us? You know, sorry, I can't think of the right words.
No, you're fine. No, you're 100% fine. I'm understanding a lot more, and this does take a lot of understanding because there is so much. It goes right back, and people don't realize this. So you know, like there's so many questions, but it's so bad what they've done to us here. There's no words to describe this. Like,
it's terrible.
This is terrible. Like, why? Like, terrible. This is the real Constitution of Ireland.
So we go back to this, right? It's a bit more before I get back into this, right? So basically, right, this was enacted, right, on the 29th of December, 1937. So from that moment onwards, we were a sovereign nation called Eire, right? So therefore, we were our own country, right? And then from the 29th of December, 1937, right up until the 1st of September, 1939, we were a sovereign nation called Eire. But then, obviously, Germany invaded Poland. That was the day Germany invaded Poland. So what the people, we'll call them, in Dáil Éireann did was they suspended its constitution under Articles 28.3. Now, you have it there, so you can read 28.3 with me.
Question before you said question. This is a question. Why did they suspend it?
It's a good question. I don't know. There's probably smarter people than me that can answer that question. But look,
did they use
I can give you an opinion. I'll give you an opinion. I'm not going to give you a fact. I think there was a load of West Brits in the Dáil still, and they were paid off. Basically, that's what I think. Other people disagree with me, but that's what I think.
Okay. That's I mean, a good sort of suggestion there, because I can't understand why anybody would want to suspend that and see the opportunity. And you said 1939, did you say?
1st of September 1939.
So
what they done was they suspended it under Article 28.3, right, which is a time of war. Right.
Okay, let me have a look at this here. Right, I'm going to go to Article 28.
You tell you what, you can read 28.3 out there if you want that.
No, you read it out, because I'll end up butchering it. I don't want any mistakes in this live stream.
Okay, right, okay. So I'll read 28.3. Right, war shall not be declared, and the state shall not participate in any war save with the assent of Dáil Éireann. Okay. In the case of actual invasion, however, the government may take whatever steps they may consider necessary for the protection of the state, and all Ireland, if not sitting, shall be summoned to me at the earliest possible date. Nothing in this Constitution shall be invoked to invalidate any law enacted by the Oireachtas which is expressed to be for the purpose of securing the public safety and the preservation of the state in time of war or armed rebellion, or to nullify any act done or purporting to be done in pursuance of any such law. Right. So basically, what that means, right, in a roundabout way, was if there's war on this island, right, they can suspend the Constitution and do whatever they can to stop the war. But what the crafty buggers will say, I'm trying to keep the language good. Mm-hmm. What the crafty buggers done was they suspended this Constitution and they used the war, Germany invading Poland. So from that moment onwards, right, we were in what's called emergency powers. And we've been basically in emergency powers since the 1st of September 1939. It did cease for a little while in the 70s, but then the Dublin and Monaghan bombings happened and it went back in again. But basically, we've been in emergency powers since then. And because we've been in emergency powers, that's why they're getting away with this. That's the only reason why they get, because if we weren't in emergency powers, we could hold them accountable, especially with this Constitution, especially.
Wow. So what people need to realize is that it's the suspension of this that's worrying to me. They used an article in this here to suspend it itself, but
no.
there was sorry, was I wrong?
No, they use an article, right? But they used it as a time of war.
Yes,
but
that's
what it really is an artificial time of war.
Yes,
it's a fraudulent time of war, because although there was war happening, it wasn't war in Ireland.
That's what I was going to get at.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Ron. Go ahead.
No, you're 100% fine. No, you want this to be clear, and always correct me. Of course, correct me in everything here, because as I say, this is it's like everything wrapped up in this is linguistic. Everything to do with this it's about how you say it. So, for me personally, they used that. There wasn't a war within Ireland. Actually, is there anything in this here to do with Ireland's neutrality? Because So there's nothing to do with neutrality. So that, to me, they used a war situation that wasn't happening in Ireland to suspend this. And for me, it can only be for nefarious reasons.
Yeah. And there's also another thing as well, right? In this Constitution, there is an article, right? And it's called Transitory Powers. It's Article 51. Mm-hmm. And what that gave them, right, was after the Constitution was enacted, it gave them 3 years to make any amendments or changes, right, without having to go to a referendum. But once those 3 years was up, they had to go to a referendum for any amendment after that. But in those 3 years, that's when they done the First Amendment. That's when they changed the meaning of time of war. But in this Constitution, it states that enforce must be written in Clo Gaelic, which is the first national principal text, and then it must be written in English for it to become a law or an amendment. But it
Can you explain that to people? Why does it have to be in Clo Gaelic? Explain that.
Because Irish is the first national principal language,
mm-hmm.
right? Therefore, like in Article 63, the Irish text shall prevail.
Mm-hmm.
The Irish is the first national principal language, so any amendment to this Constitution had to be done in Irish first and then English second. But the First Amendment was only ever done in English. Therefore, that is a fraud. So there's two points of fraud on the First Amendment: the artificial time of war and the fact that was only done in English and never done in Irish.
And what about the Blue Book itself? The Blue Book, is it? And that's absolutely mad. But the blue, like,
I haven't got a Blue Book, so I don't know. I've only ever seen them bits of it here and there. Like, I haven't got one. I don't know. It's as far as I'm concerned, it's just blue roll. So
see, I'm trying to stay on point, but the only thing that comes to my head is the long game plan and why were we sold out? That's the only thing. Why were we sold out? And I know it's just a speculation. It's not a fact, but the fact that this did happen and it's null and void, and they used a situation that's
the crown is maritime law. Rule Britannia rules as waves. Like that's the law of the sea. Like, and under this Constitution, they didn't have as much power. Under this Constitution, they wouldn't have had as much power.